This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hello and welcome to an extremely casual video. I've been thinking a lot about how wellness and health and my relationship to it has changed throughout even just this year. I think this year has come with many different things that have influenced the way that I take care of myself. And I think I've just landed in a place where I can be really gentle with myself and understand that health and wellness must remain flexible and can never be a fixed idea. You change, life changes, your context, your circumstances, and therefore how you take care of yourself should change too. It should make sense with how you're feeling and what you're prioritizing, and your priorities change. And this is mostly inspired by the fact that in a moment of total boredom, I downloaded TikTok. I know I'm like a decade late. And holy crap, is the advice on TikTok when it comes to wellness and health, it is just wild. It is truly spooky. And it reminded me of the many things that I did years ago that were spooky and bizarre, and I did them in the name of health, and I didn't notice how strange the things I was doing were. And I also didn't notice that they weren't making me healthy. They were making me feel very unwell, but because I was so fixated on these, things that were really easily quantifiable and very easy to follow through. There was no nuance. It was like, do this, do this, do this. And so I did that and I did that and I did that. I was like, what's wrong? It's me. I just need to be more disciplined. And that just leads you into a messy cycle. Anyway, I don't want to ramble. So I have a few things that I've thought about that have really made wellness feel good and sustainable and not stressful. I know that health and wellness can be very stressful if you are very sick. I totally understand that. And so I don't want to make it seem like health and wellness should be really easy for everybody, because it's not the case. But what I'm referring to is mostly the generalized health and wellness that you see on social media, which can be very dangerous. So before we continue on, this video is sponsored by Squarespace, the one and only. I love them. I speak about them often. I've used them for many, many years. They do all the hard work and leave you with the really easy task of just choosing a really beautiful and aesthetically pleasing template. There's so many to pick from. They also make it really easy to blog and to share recipes or content, photos, writing, whatever it is. They make creating an online presence very enjoyable. They also have this very unique members only area where you can create specific content that people can pay for. And what I love the most is that you can create a newsletter through Squarespace, because the internet can be overwhelming, and it's really lovely to connect with your audience through something that feels, a little bit more intimate and a little bit more personal, and you can do that through a newsletter with Squarespace. So basically everything that you need, you can do with them. So if this sounds like you can go to squarespace.com and start your free trial. And once you're ready to launch, you can go to squarespace.com/Nina Montagnier and get 10% off of your first purchase of our website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. How do you feel about Squarespace? The first thing that I want to mention is, I think, one of the realizations that made it really easy for me to kind of snap back, and I keep it as a mantra. Your physical health will never ask you to compromise your mental health. And when I keep that at the forefront of my mind, it becomes easier to, sift through all the other kind of crap that you see out there that will ask you to do very unsustainable things, which would very obviously impact your mental health. A very easy way, I think, that you can quickly determine whether what you're doing is actually coming from a place of love and self-care is if a friend or a family member asks you to go out for dinner very spontaneously. What's your first reaction to that? And for me, my first reaction was stress, and my first reaction was like, absolutely not. I need to eat at home. or we're going to go to one of my safe restaurants. Health and wellness should include spontaneity. It should include and should be flexible, so that in those moments you're taken off guard, you're fine. You can go to a restaurant because you know that the all or nothing mentality doesn't work. So that's number one, which I think very easily leads me to something that I talk a lot about, which is the importance of pleasure in wellness, the importance of pleasure in health. And when I talk about pleasure, I'm talking about short-term pleasure, and I'm also talking about long-term pleasure. The thing with wellness is that it will always be nuanced. Pleasure leads to sustainable long-term wellness. If you are doing something in the name of health that isn't also like bringing you some sort of joy, or, you know, that you can kind of feel good about because you're like, oh, this in the long term will be really good for me, then I think you need to question it a little bit. Food is meant to be enjoyed. Movement is meant to be enjoyed as well. You know, the things that I do to take care of myself in the long run should feel enjoyable. Obviously, a lot of self-care isn't just like going to buy yourself a treat and taking a bath and making yourself a cup of tea, because those things, you know, they all seem quite pleasurable. It's also like paying your taxes and going to the dentist, and those things in the moment, for me, not pleasurable. But when I get them done, I'm like, go me. That does feel good. Which leads me to community. Of course, it is essential to take care of yourself. It is essential to have boundaries. It is essential to do things that make you grow, and to have goals, and to figure out ways to feel better, and figure out things that you want to do, obviously. However, I think sometimes the content that I see is kind of extremely on the self, me first, me and only me way of thinking, which can be very isolating, I think. And sometimes asking yourself, how can I make this community better? How can I make my friend feel better? How can I do something for them really good? Being in the presence of people and making sure that your health and wellness is inclusive is extremely important, and I don't think we talk about that enough. The next one, movement. I have stopped calling exercise because for myself, and I know for a lot of people, exercise is such a charged word, and it means a specific list of things, or people think that it means a specific list of things. It's, you know, exercise means that you have to break a sweat. It has to like be longer than 30 and 45 minutes for some reason. It has to leave you sore. It has to leave you fatigued. And so that wasn't working for me. One of the things that has been really helpful for me and my relationship to movement is the very real notion that you don't have to do extreme exercise to be healthy. You don't have to go for a run. You don't have to run if you don't want to. You don't have to do CrossFit if you don't want to. You do have to move your body in some way in order to be healthy. Reframing what exercise is and using the word movement instead of exercise meant that I was no longer stressed about it, because I move all the time. Movement is movement is movement. It all counts. I'm telling you that I do not run. I love running. And the only reason I love running now is because I figured out that going really slow meant that I could actually enjoy running. And I suspect that the reason that happens, obviously endorphins, but also because I'm not killing myself doing it, which allows me to just kind of think of things, have some me time. It's really good for my mental health. And I know running isn't for everyone. But yeah, reframing what exercise is can be very liberating. Food. What I'm going to say is going to sound very simple, but it took a lot of work because it takes a lot of unlearning. But where I find myself now is that I need to just trust myself. So I eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it. And the one thing that I will say has always helped me is addition, never restriction. If I feel like it, I will have it. If I feel like it because I feel like something sweet, I will have it. There is room to eat all the foods that you enjoy. There is room to also, pay attention to how food makes you feel, how it makes you feel in your body, how something interacts with your body. I think intuitive eating has really, really worked for me. And with that comes just trusting yourself and trusting your body and trusting your hunger signals. Editing me over here, I just want to make it really clear that not having an appetite is not normal and not a moment to trust your body. This can get really specific very quickly, and I could speak about food for hours. But two examples, personal examples of mine, is when I am really depressed, sometimes my appetite is suppressed and therefore my body isn't telling me I'm hungry. I know now that I have to eat regardless because I need to feed my body because it's working really hard to just keep me alive. And so whether I'm hungry for it or not, I will eat. Same with ADHD, when I go into these 8-hour hyper focus sessions in which time goes by like that and I forget to eat, forget to drink any water, I snap out of that as well and eat anyway, even if my body is telling me no, I'm not hungry, because I know that it is not normal to not eat. Trusting your body also comes with using logic. It also comes with understanding your context. Are you extremely stressed? Are you really busy? Are you extremely distracted? Are you training for something really hard? After really long runs, I'm training for a big race. After really long runs, do I feel like eating? No. Do I have to eat? Absolutely. I just ran 20 kilometers. So yeah, it's also about using logic and context. Okay, bye. How you take care of yourself will be different throughout different phases of your life. I've been in a bad depressive episode, which, means that the way I eat is very different. It's not the home-cooked meals that I would love to be able to have the effort to make. It's not that. It just isn't. And at other times, that would really stress me out and make my depression even worse. Because I wouldn't only feel depressed, I would then feel guilty, and then I'd feel worried that I wasn't eating the right thing. Now, I'm going to prioritize my mental health. And prioritizing my mental health right now means very quick and easy freezer meals for me right now. That's okay. And life can be difficult, and making it more difficult for yourself is just not the key to wellness. It can be really easy to think that you can make everything better if you just, ate more greens and went for more runs. And man, oh man, for me, it has been a big lesson in letting go of control and realizing that I don't have to work so hard to take care of myself always. And so that is it. Get off wellness TikTok. It is wild out there. And I hope that potentially we can look inwards and think about what feels good for us individually, what feels nurturing, and how can I, life is hard and it seems to be getting harder. So enjoy things while you can. Okay, I'm sending you a big hug. I'll see you very soon. Bye.